AITA for calling my boyfriend's little sister racist because she likes K-pop? For background, my parents and I, F21, moved from South Korea to America when I was 13. Both my parents are Korean too. My boyfriend, M22, and I have been dating for 6 months. We go to college together. My family lives in the same city that our college is. His family, however, lives in another city, so I haven't had the chance to meet them until now. His parents invited us to spend the weekend over at their house, so they John met me. Up until now, I have only spoke a few times on the phone with his parents, but not with his siblings. He has 3 siblings. An older brother, 25, sister, 13, and brother, 9. The problem with his sister is that apparently she's a K-pop fan. My boyfriend had already told me this prior to meeting her, and he told me to get ready. I thought that meant that she would ask me to say something in Korean or something like that. It has happened to me before, even by strangers in the street. It's annoying. Well, first things first, she greeted me with an hello in Korean. I faked a laugh and greeted her too. It wouldn't have been such a deal if that was it. But then she continued calling me Ani and asking me if I called my boyfriend Oppa and such things. She then started asking where did I lived when I was in Korea, if I had met any idols, if I ever tried to be an idol myself, etc. She insisted in sitting next to me, and she was taking photos of me eating because I look like an idol. Like, what does that even mean? I'm just trying to eat. Her mother had to tell her to stop because I was very visibly uncomfortable. After eating, she wanted me to go dance some K-pop choreographies with her because, you know, every Korean knows how to dance, I guess. We stayed there over the weekend, so it was 2 days of not stop of this kind of behavior. I was so glad when it was time to leave. As soon as we pulled out the driveway, I told my boyfriend, "You were not kidding. Your sister is worse than imagined." He laughed and said it was expected of her to act like this. So I told him, "So she's always this racist, huh?" He took offense on that. He told me that his sister wasn't racist at all, she was only excited to meet me. I said that all she did during our visit was to make assumptions about me and talk to me in a racist way, like come on. Calling me Unnie when she doesn't even know the context of the word has to be racist for Americans too, right? Now he's mad at me. I am mad at him too for not understanding my side too. So who's right? AITA for sulking about the fact that my wife won't let me watch my son's birth. I, 28M, have been with the love of my life, Emily, 26F, for 7 years, married for 2. We have always talked about having kids, and I've always wanted Toby there when they were born. When my dad was still alive, he used to tell me and my siblings all the time about how it literally brought him to tears. Not a man who cries, by the way, and he would say he was so grateful for all of us and for the experience. My beautiful and amazing wife is 8 months pregnant. It's been a pretty difficult pregnancy for her, well for us, but especially to her. She's had a few miscarriages in the past, and I've just been praying to God for both of them to make it through safely. We were talking more and more about what's going to happen when she goes into labor, and she's very adamant that I not be in the room, natural or C, no matter what. I've tried convincing, pleading, begging, but she won't change her mind. Her mom is going to be with her, and I understand that she needs her mom, and that she needs to do whatever to make sure that everything goes smoothly. I don't want to stress her out too much because I keep telling myself all that matters is that they're both healthy, but I'm honestly really sad about not being able to be there for my son's birth. It's not about me. I know that. All that matters is that they're both healthy. I've been trying to come to terms and understand this on my own time, so as not to bother her, but Emily's just being so condescending to me, and I know that she's just stressed out and scared, so she doesn't mean it. But I feel like I deserve to process this at least for a few days. I still do everything as I've done before, but she says that now I have this beaten puppy dog look on my face, and it's issing Harif. Then, she started scolding me, asking me why it mattered so much to me, and if I was going to act this week in front of our son. She told me I needed to just be a ucking man and get the *UCK over it. I feel like crying, but I don't want her to know and get mad at me again, so I told her I was going out to get groceries, and am writing this in the car to try and calm myself down. I love her so much, but what she said really hit me hard. I just want them both to be healthy and safe, but I also wanted to be there. AITA for refusing to go to a child-free wedding if my son can't go. Hopefully the only edit. Am I confused and a little upset my son isn't invited to the wedding? Yes, sure. Is that the reason I am debating on not going? No, my decision to not go is based entirely on their attitude through what's been this month, and it's also been based on my son's current feelings. If in a year the situation has bypassed regardless of my son going or not, then my decision might change, but for now I will stand behind my son and his decision and feelings. Also, if the people who are barely reading the post want answers or more details, just click my account and check my comments. There's a lot of stories on here regarding weddings and child-free weddings and overall entitlement. Booty want to know if I'm right by saying this situation differs to the rest, or if I am truly being an Asshole. My younger brother and Sil are getting married next year 2024, and sent out the RSVP earlier this February, which is when this whole fight started. The invitations include tickets to the wedding along with the dress code and a semi-letter letting the attendees know this is a child-free wedding, along with a few other formalities or rules, whatever they want to call them. Not my wedding, not my rules to make, plus I don't have children. My only kid is 16-year-olds and I am a single mom, so the whole idea of going to the wedding to enjoy a fun night to myself without kids is not something new, nor is it something I've had to worry about for a while. The issue isn't with the rule, the issue is that the invitation originally came with 2 tickets and we didn't think much of it because he's not a child, so wouldn't he be invited? Turns out the no-child rule involves anyone under the age of 18, and we found out when my son brought up the wedding during a family dinner, and both my Sil and brother seemed taken aback, which then led to questions in them. Finding out they had accidentally sent out 2 tickets, which then led to an awkward conversation and my son getting uninvited in front of the people present. I'm genuinely trying really hard to understand their side and the fact that it's their wedding, not mine, but I cannot get past the idea of the way they did so and how they made my son feel. Also, the fact that I had my son at a really young age. Andy's dad was never present, so my brother was like he a big brother to my son, so I think my son and me are quite hurt at the idea of my son not attending. I would say me choosing to not attend is nothing personal, but I'd be lying if I did so. I've been getting called immature, petty, and a itch, but I think the situation would have been different had it been made clear my son wasn't going to be invited from the start and not get his invitation revoked randomly. AITA for insisting my Sil to visit us more when she is a busy resident doctor and she says she can't. My Sil, married to my brother, is a resident physician who works 60 to 80 hours weeks and frequently works one or both days of the weekend. Her residency is a 7 hours drive from where me, my husband and my baby girl, 1.5 years old, my brother and I were always very close growing up and even lived in the same apartment and later same city. We were never more than 20 to 30 meters away from each other. I got married and had my baby and he moved 7 hours away to be with his fiancée, now wife, pretty soon after I had my baby. It was devastating for me as I had always pictured us being close and him really involved as an uncle. Sil works 6 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. 6 to 7 days a week, but does have some golden weekends, where she has Saturday and Sunday off. She usually has 1 per month and then she has 3 weeks of vacation, never over Christmas or New Year's holidays. During those 1 weekend a month that she has completely off, her and my brother either stay at home because she needs to relax or will drive to HRSTO see her family. During the 3 weeks of vacation, which she is only able to take 1 week at a time, they went on a 1-week-long trip to Hawaii, a 1-week-long trip to Cancun with her family, and then 1 week where they just visited her family 2 hours away. They haven't made the trip to visit us more than 1 to 2x a year, as they say the drive is too hard with the limited time off she has, and she's usually too tired to come anyways. But not too tired for Hawaii or Cancun. They always ask my parents and us to visit them. During holidays she works, so at least we can be together, and she will join every day after 5. But it's hard for us to travel with a 1.5-year-old. My parents have to split time visiting there and visiting us, and we need them for childcare. I've been asking my brother and Sil to visit us more, even though I know her schedule is busy, and my brother got frustrated with me when I asked him to visit alone. He said she needs him because the heavy workload has been really mentally straining on her, and quoted how resident physicians have a really high depression rate and basically called meta. I feel it's unfair we have to visit all the time considering we have a 1-year-old and also both work full-time, and feel they should balance better to visit us rather than just vacation. AITA for insisting? AITA for forcing my daughter to remove the Do Not Disturb feature from her phone. My daughter, 16F, has her phone on Do Not Disturb all the time. At first, it wasn't an issue since she would still answer my texts and calls whenever she's out at practice. For the past few weeks, she has stopped answering my texts and calls, and she wouldn't receive them since I'd ask her why she wasn't answering and she'd claim she didn't get them. I am not stupid. Her phone is on Do Not Disturb and none of my texts and calls are going through. I'd ask my other daughters to see if they reach out to her whenever she is out just to ask her what time she might be home. No answers. My oldest, 22F, would try to call, text, FaceTime, you name it, in order to ask her when she might be home. Over the weekend, my daughter had to attend an event at school, and when I came to go pick her up, she went Mia and wasn't answering any of my texts and calls since, again, the Do Not Disturb feature was on. I started to get frustrated over it, so when my daughter finally entered the car, I told her that she needs to start answering my calls and texts, and she had no reason to ignore me when she knew I was going to pick her up. My daughter gave me the excuse of, "Oh, I didn't see it," again. My frustration turned into anger, so I start yelling at her and said, "None of us are able to easily get of you. Something that normally takes TWOMINUTES takes 20 or more, since we can't seem to get you to answer the phone. Your father and IHAVEBEEN worried sick whenever you don't answer the phone." I then told her she has two choices. Either she removes the Do Not Disturb or her phone gets taken away for a week. My daughter rolls her eyes and said it isn't fair for her to not be allowed to have the Do Not Disturb feature. I said she needs to start answering her phone, or at the very least, call us back right away. I said that if she doesn't comply, her phone will be taken away. She begged me not to take her phone, so I said she needs to remove the Do Not Disturb feature. She refused once again. When we got home, I told her if she doesn't want their phone taken away, she needs to remove the Do Not Disturb feature. After some back and forth, my daughter removes the feature right in front of me before running to her room in tears. Now, before anyone thinks otherwise, I did allow her to have the phone on Do Not Disturb as long as she answers our calls and texts. We'd have to call her more than once to get a hold of her, but she is completely unreachable. I think I was too harsh. Booty was at my wit's end. Am I the Asshole? Edit. Some of you are thinking I am spamming my daughter with phone calls and texts while she's at school. I do not message her during school hours. The issue is taking place after school or on the weekends. My daughter most of the time does not tell anyone where she's going, doesn't ask for permission when she wants to go out with friends, and would sneak out of the house every time her father and I are out of the house. None of my other children would have no knowledge of where she is, and even they'd ask her, but she won't answer her phone. Sometimes my son will ask her if she could buy him something from McDonald's or if they can go to Target together. We did speak to her before and said she can keep her phone on Do Not Disturb, and we would never call her or text while she is in class. Edit 2. My daughter has also been lying to us about where she'd go. She'd ask to borrow the car to go get food, but would come home 2 hours later. I'd call her after 45 minutes, but the phone would go straight to voicemail. She normally does tell us if she's going to class or practice, but whenever she goes out outside of those times and doesn't tell us, she will not answer the phone. It's like sheshiding. Edit 3. Some are suggesting I take car keys away. The problem with that is, if there's a car available, she will leave. She's taken my oldest daughter's car a few times, and when she'd ask where she's going, she would say, "None of your business." My oldest hid the car keys from her, and it would be made with manipulation and my daughter crying and screaming. Edit 4. As stated in the first edit, we do not text or call our daughter during school. Edit 5. My daughter takes the car when my husband are not here, and if there is another car available. If there's no car available, she won't go. My daughter is on spring break this week, and I have spoken to her this morning, and I have taken her car keys. She will not have it back for a long time, is all I'm going to say. Not until my husband and I are able to trust her again. My husband and I will have a serious sit down with her when he gets off from work this afternoon.